Hopefully. All right. This is my first time doing a live. This camera is pretty crappy. So welcome to Monday, my friends. We're going to be doing Neurolinguistic Astrology live. I'm going live on both YouTube. I'm using Google Calendar, which is how I usually take my readings if you're interested in getting that for me. We're going to go over today some basics. We're going to go back to basics when it comes to my perspective on astrology, which is a fusion of NLP, which is known as Neurolinguistic Programming, as well as astrology. So just to give you some background, I actually found too, I have my whiteboard today, so welcome. Welcome to class, everybody. So we're going to go through all the planets, of course. Let me just make sure this is also flipped. Gorgeous. Fabulous. All right. So the way I kind of look at astrology is not necessarily like to tell the future, or when I was doing some research ahead of this was that I really actually like the concept of Hellenistic astrology. So I'm going to just write that down just to give you some background in it, because I think just to give you some history in astrology as a whole. Hellenistic astrology. And if you know anything about oh my gosh, why am I? So I'm on YouTube as well. So this is my first time streaming to both. I want to see if I can maybe not mirror it. Alas, we'll do that later. That's okay. So this is mainly for you guys on TikTok. Hello, everybody. Okay, so Hellenistic astrology is a combination of different practices from different worlds. If you are familiar with mythology in any kind of way, you'll know that the Egyptians and the Greeks did a great job of I don't want to say consolidating their mythologies, but they were very accepting. Like, for example, Hermes and Mercury. Let's see here. Oh, that's so funny. Okay. Handling both. Okay, so welcome to Monday, guys. This is the Neurolinguistic Astrology Salon. That's what I've kind of called it. And I've been trying to do a better job of reorganizing and restructuring all of my shows, and I hesitate to call it this, but content. So when it comes to neurolinguistic astrology, it's my personal lens when it comes to astrology. So if you guys would like, in the chat, wherever you're watching this, what is your perspective on astrology? Like, do you think of it as the horoscopes? Like, I used to love Cosmopolitan magazine. I learned a lot about how to kiss and how to please a man from Cosmo magazine. But they also had horoscopes and stuff, right? So I'm wearing my Taurus shirt today. Team Taurus, baby. So drop in the chat what your sun sign is. Just because that is like the sun, your soul. I love Supergirl for this very reason as well. This idea of your superpowers coming from synthesization from the sun. Oh, Teddy Hall, I love Aries. My sister's is an Aries, as well as my rising sign is Aries, as well as my Venus and Mercury are in Aries. So I want you guys to have been Taurus. Oh, Teddy Hall, I'm a little biased, but I will say that Taurus is like, there's a saying that I have that no one will love you like a Taurus does. For better or for worse. But I mean, every sign has a gift, every sign has a shadow, and just like you are this unique character in the game of life, when you are having partners or friends or colleagues or those that you are working with on different soul missions in this game, right? You're going to connect with some really like right away. It'll feel like you talked to this person for a million years, and others you're going to find it difficult to connect. And there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just the way things work. It's like a recipe when you're baking a cake. You're not going to use like pickle juice in a recipe like that, but like that would taste really good if you're making a really savory dish, right? And sometimes sweet and spicy work really well together, but some people just don't like cilantro. So all of these things aren't right around. Oh, Tojo. Oh, hey, hi. I hope you have a great week, Tojo. Hopefully we'll connect soon. So this is my day show. So going forward, every Monday at 11:11, I'm going to do this show on neurolinguistic astrology. So before I go off on a tangent, I just wanted to give you some background into astrology. So your sun sign is typically, like when we talk about like horoscopes, that's what you'll look up. And you're like, all right, so I'm a Taurus. So however, no matter what you are, Taurus, Aries, Virgo, because we're in Virgo season right now, you're not going to be like any other person of your sign, right? Even though you're going to represent them as well. And that's the beautiful duality of what I think the universe is, what reality is, right? It's like, oh, I am the all, I am everything, I am the creator, but I am also little old me and I'm insignificant, right? You're both at the same time. It's like if you've watched The Matrix, I don't buy into the fact that we're in a simulation. We can have conversations about this. I'm so open to everybody's ideas. There's nothing more interesting to me than other people's perspective and people telling me why they know what they know, like how they came to certain conclusions. Because I always like, it's the psychologist in me. I guess I like seeing how people come to certain conclusions, right? Where like, okay, what's an example? Like your favorite character in comic books, right? Whenever I cosplay as Supergirl or Batgirl, people always ask me like, who's your favorite? I'm like, oh my gosh, that's very difficult to answer. It's like asking, well, what's your favorite food of all time, right? And if I were to say pizza, great, but then I couldn't imagine eating pizza for the rest of my life. Right? So it's like that is what I've realized when it comes to the universe and understanding the universe and your very special place in the universe. Astrology is just a wonderful tool. So that's how I look at it. I come from a very Christian Catholic background. I went to an all-girls Catholic school in Winnipeg called St. Mary's Academy. It was run by nuns. It was like when I watched the what was that show at the Benny Gesserit school? I looked at it, I was like, that looks like my school. And so actually I have a fun side, not a fun side story, you guys. So on Friday, what's today, Monday? So on Friday, me and my hubby and my dog went to the park and I got stung by a wasp on my foot, on my left foot. It hurt so much. I'm still dealing with it right now, but I took some LSD, when was it? Yesterday, because I was trying to finish writing my book and like mapping things out. So this like thought came to me to look into the Wasp, right? The superheroine, the Wasp, right? So Janet Van Dyne, Hank Pym, the Ant-Man and the Wasp. And it's funny, like I bring this up just because yesterday I was reading as Supergirl, the story from the book, The Stories of Alan Moore. Alan Moore is one of my favorite comic book authors. He's a magician. He's also got something called the Bumper Book of Magic. And astrology, if you read Promethea or a lot more of his more esoteric works, give you some perspective, like it gives you a cipher. That's the way I should kind of put it. It's a cipher. I hear comic talk. Yes, because I'm going to infuse comic talk with astrology, because if you understand comic books and archetypes, you already understand astrology. Right? Because it's all interpretation, right? So Alan Moore had a falling out with DC. He actually has been quoted as saying that like the comic book medium is divine. However, the comic book industry is bleep, it's fucked, right? So well, we can say that about a lot of industries, right? I competed in fitness for very many years, and going on stage, you take your body to a certain unhealthy perspective, but who cares? Because you have a six pack, right? So this idea of like what looks like healthy or what looks like a thing, what looks like a hero, what looks like something, and then what something really is deep inside, and how things prove what they truly are is, when the moment comes, right? When you practice, and then when you finally go on stage, are you able to finally hit it, right? When it matters. So that's, I think, bringing this all back to neurolinguistic astrology, I wanted to, I I basically think that it's just a way of navigating reality, right? So astronaut translates to star sailor, right? So that's why you have Sailor Moon is like you're a star sailor. And there's this relationship between the deep sea and the deep cosmos, right? They seem related in a symbolic kind of way, right? So when I think about neurolinguistic astrology, it's a combination of two practices. Actually, I was going to talk about Hellenistic astrology, but that was just more about the idea that, let's say, the ancient Greeks and the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Romans, they did a better job of sharing their mythos. They didn't have this monotheistic way of like going, well, my belief is the only belief. It's like this pushing of reality onto other people, right? So you all are the kings and queens of your own realm, your own universe, yes. And then there's spaces in the Vesica where we intertwine with other people's universes. And then we have a co-created universe, which is all of, and it's not really up to anybody to enforce what their version of what they think utopia is, what they think the perfect version. That's why you need to have discourse and discussion and being okay, which is what I've had to learn to be okay with. You know, like we can sometimes think in our thinking, we're like, oh, this is right. And so if someone's thinking something else, they're wrong. But that's not really the way the universe works, right? It's really more about the timing and context of things. And unfortunately, in a world where we're like racing 500 miles an hour, trying to fit in 5 million different things just to survive, we don't have the time to kind of provide context where, you know, let's say we have a conversation with someone we don't know very well, and they use a term that you find very derogatory, but they don't know that. They don't have the background into, let's say you were bullied at 7 years old and you were called this word many times. And so they use it in a way that offends you, right? So, but how would they know that, right? And then you all of a sudden, like your hackles up being like, oh, this person. And then so that in that misunderstanding, we lose, right? So I've done this. I have Scorpio placements. So Scorpio can be very like reading into things too much, right? Oh, Savage knows Taurus, gang, gang, gang. I was just saying before, like I'm biased, but like Taurus people, you know, we're ruled by Venus. We love, sensuality, naps, all that kind of good stuff. So we do vibe with each other. And you know what? I don't actually have a lot of Taurus friends in my life. I have a lot of Gemini friends for some strange reason. I have a Gemini moon. Maybe that's what attracts it. And I do love Gemini. I just wouldn't date one. Um, I couldn't handle it being a Taurus, right? But everyone's different, right? And when my girlfriends come to me for relationship advice, that's realistically the way I go through things, right? It's like, girl, you're the one in the relationship and I just want what's best for you. So you got to just be honest with yourself and honest with me. And I can give you my advice, but it's not like, I don't know, some girlfriends get so offended when you don't take their advice because you ask, but I don't think sometimes people are asking you to give them advice. They're asking to have someone mirror them, right? So that they can come to the solution themselves. And you can just be like, okay, but I'm listening. Or maybe just bring up things that they hadn't caught before. So that's how I do things in my relationship advice stuff, because I'm a true romantic. I want everyone's relationships to work out. I want you to find your person. And, you know, if you like, I had a boss once who was in like a quad relationship in Montreal where like it was like him, another guy, and two girls, and they all lived in one house and they're like one relationship. And so it worked for them, right? So no judgment, you know, there's whatever your, but I mean, like also too, for me, I'm like a monogamous, like I'm loyal to a fault, right? So it's just about finding your match, whatever that is. Let's see here. Crohn's, thank you for the heart me, Crohn's music. Oh, I have my music treble clef on here as well, because Taurus people, music means a lot. Actually, music is a language of the universe. We'll get into that in just a second. Carl Rock, hi, hello. Did you drop what your sun sign was in the chat, Carl? Just so I have almost like a mental record of how many of my peoples are here. Well, like you're all my peoples, but you know what I mean? Like, what what cosmic tribes you're from, what luminary houses you're all from. June 7th. So Gemini, yes. Let's see here. Hey from Canada, not Taurus here to grow and release from all I love it. Well, I grew up in Winnipeg, right? So a beautiful thing about Winnipeg is that there's a lot of my my bestie growing up, she actually dated a guitarist in this band called Floor 13 back in the day. We were like 15 years old, and we used to go out to like, old high schools and like listen to like rock music. And it's so fun seeing your friends freaking on stage looking like rock stars, right? Screaming in the front row. Like, I'm the ultimate hype girl. That's why you see me with my hubby who's a DJ. Like, I love music so much that it's, to those who it's that connection, right? Like, even if you don't speak the same language, if you love the same song, it's almost like, oh, like I get you, man. I feel you, not Gemini. What sign are you? Well, I mean, Gemini is, my sister was telling me this. So my sister's a Taurus. She's an Aries. Aries women, I tell you, right? They're intense. Val Z, how do I find my sun sign? Go into your Google, look in astrology calculator, put in your birthday, and it'll tell you your whole chart. And not just your sun sign, because your sun is just one point, right? You have all these other planets that are placed unique to you. So let's bring this back to basics. So when I discovered astrology, it was like in 2020 or so, right? I was still working in corporate at KPMG, and because we were working from home, I did this like whole course in astrology just to like learn it. And I'm like, what the heck is like behind it? And the more I learned about it, the more I got so tripped out, because I was like, oh, how is this real? How does this work? Like, how is it so right about certain things? And I found a lot of hope from astrology, just because I found some stuff out about my own personal chart that were very, very challenging. So if you have these placements, holla at me. We can have like a support group. So my sun sign's in Taurus, my Pluto, let's put that I'll show you guys this like visually, because that actually might help for learning. So in your own charts, you're going to have your sun sign, which is going to be in a particular house and sign, right? But you're also going to have all the other planets. Now, in my understanding of astrology, everything is through story, right? Just like how in comic books, when we're trying to grapple with really complex topics, right? I was reading a DC comic book called League of One, where Wonder Woman basically takes on this like godlike being. And she does this because she's trying to do a sacrifice. I'm not going to do any spoilers, but she basically makes a hard decision to attack the other members of the Justice League to save them, right? So these complex ways in which we have relationships with each other, they're not easily just like talked about straight up or plain, right? You need a whole symbolic metaphor, allegory behind the whole thing in order to get it, right? Hey, Voice of One, or even just like a good song, a really well written song, like Freddie Mercury's birthday is coming up, actually, I believe, because he's a Virgo, right? I was talking to you guys about how encoded songs are with things. Off to a health walk. Oh, sounds good. Hey, Voice of One, happy Monday. I'm so close to releasing my book too, but I'm not going to go off on a tangent. I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about aspects in your chart. So if you have your sun sign, I'm going to use me as an example here because I trust you guys. And I welcome you guys to look at your own charts. You can spend a whole lifetime learning about yourself and what character you're meant to play. Like, just like no different how in like Baldur's Gate or in any RPG game in the beginning, you make that character. It takes me a million years to make my character. Like when I was playing Baldur's Gate 3 with my sister, we finally like are progressing in the story, and I had to pick like who my guardian was and like who I want to romance and all this kind of stuff. And I always get so like engrossed in it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do all the choices. And that's a great way to talk about you as an individual note, but also being part of the whole song, the whole orchestra, right? It's like how, everyone in the orchestra is playing a different instrument, but we're all playing from the same like song. We're playing the same opera, even though the brass is doing something different than what the strings are doing, which is doing something different than what percussion is doing. Right? I used to have such a hard time in. I took piano for like 1 year, but I used to have a hard time with like like the chords are with your left hand, and you have to do the melody with your right. I don't know, like my left brain, right brain thing just couldn't like do that. So, funny thing though, like my hubby's actually left-handed. Shout out to any of you guys who are left-handed and are also like artistically, musically inclined, because my bestie growing up, she was left-handed, a left-handed Libra, right? And then I married a left-handed Libra. Really weird, right? So there's just how we process information can be different. So bringing this back to oppositions, what I'm going to talk about right now in terms of an aspect in your birth chart to learn from. I have my sun is in Taurus. So that's here, right? And Taurus is typically the second house, rules things like finances, the more material realm, right? Because if we start the zodiac in Aries, Aries is like the head, I am, who am I, like this forerunner, this idea of cardinality and fire, inspiration, divine spark starting, right? Now, Taurus is when you have like a body. Okay, I'm lefty. I play right gut-handed, guitar is upside down. I love that voice of one. Someone else also played a guitar upside down. There's someone else, I feel like, musician-wise. Love it, though, because music is how we can encode things on a deeper level, right? It's why I love musical theater as well. One of my favorite musicals is actually Rock of Ages, not the movie with Tom Cruise, kind of. It's got a little bit of the ick factor in it. You played the trumpet. That's cool, Amityville. I love that. And you need lung capacity to do that, right? And I don't think people realize too, like when releasing your throat chakra, it doesn't have to always be with singing, right? You can just like scream into a pillow, or even like playing a trumpet, or if you're blowing into any kind of instrument. You know what else is really a beautiful instrument? The harp. I love the harp. As well as there's that electronic, I forget what it's called. I love the synthesizer as well. I had a synthesizer growing up, those little like keyboards with me and my sister, and I had like a little like Barbie microphone thing, because I was like, I'm on my own radio show. And that's kind of what this is. It's more about giving you guys cosmic literacy, right? Because the world is symbols, right? Oh my gosh, didgeridoo. I can't say it right now. What the heck? I have cousins and family in Australia. I would love for them to send. Actually, no, that's something you need to go in dream time in Australia and get one that's like blessed by the land. So I was born with my sun in Taurus. That was, and due to the fact I was born in the 80s, like you guys, I've said multiple times, I was made in the 80s, 1985. I got one on Amazon. Well, if you want just the sound for the recording as well, too, if you're producing certain things. So I knew you were left-handed too, voice of one. I feel like that's a funny coincidence, not a coincidence. However, you guys too, my other friend Joanne, she's also left-handed, and she's like, Rachel, like, can you imagine being left-handed and living in a right-handed world? I'm like, oh yeah, like the fridge doesn't open the right way for you. She's like, yeah, you always smudge. You're like writing when you're like writing with your left hand. I'm like, I didn't even think about that. So all these things we kind of like take for granted because we're always like, we can only come from our perspective, right? And this is why when we're able to see our unique placements and also be aware of other people's unique placements, we can see where there can be tension, but also where we can learn from each other's differences, or why we come after, look at each other differently. So I have my sun in Taurus. Taurus gang here as well. Taurus is ruled by Venus. The other sign that is ruled by Venus is Libra. My husband is a Libra. We're both ruled by Venus. we vibe because of that. Right to left instead, right? And we felt like, well, think about even in Asia, not all places in Asia, but like Japanese calligraphy and stuff like that. It's all left to right. Like when you read mangas, my Sailor Moon mangas are all the other way, right? They're flipped the other way. So also when you're driving your car in other places, right? You're driving on the left side of the road. Like it's like a crazy thing that your brain has to do. I'm always amazed when I meet another lefty. Yeah, and you guys probably, every left-hand person that I know can draw really well and has like a musical talent. It's interesting. There's a whole bunch of other, I went down this whole rabbit hole about how left-handed people look at the world. But I love lefties. I love, as I said, I love people who give me a perspective that I'm not able to necessarily have in this body, or that like in this incarnation, right? I can get that through you telling me a story about what happened to you. And then that would be a way for me to understand after 3 daughters. Oh, interesting. A left-handed boy after 3 daughters. I feel like that must be some sort of prophecy. Doesn't that sound prophetic? Because think about like the southpaw. And if you're fighting, if you're someone who's left-handed and you learn how to use both sides really well, that makes you a really like that's a skill when you're like up against something like versus. Like I would keep that in my back pocket. Like no one knows that you're actually left-handed, and you just bring it when you need it. So my opposition is actually with, so we're Taurus. I was born with Pluto in Scorpio. So if you were born between the years of 1984 and I believe it's 1993, you were born with Pluto in Scorpio. Pluto is exalted in Scorpio. It is the ruling planet of that sign. The ancient ruler of Scorpio is actually Mars. So Scorpio and Aries have that in common, where they have this level of, how should I put this? It's like a warrior aspect, but with Scorpio, it would be like more like a mage, right? So like a warrior mage, because it deals with more subversive stuff, things that are underneath the surface, whereas Aries fights more in the front, right? Wonder Woman is an Aries woman. I don't think that that's any surprise to anyone. She clearly embodies that. But there's this level of realizing like masculine and feminine attributes, and then what that is on another level when it's being embodied by a woman or a man, right? So, for example, Aries is a masculine sign, but it doesn't mean that Aries women are masculine, right? They might actually be hyper feminine because of it. Just like how Cancer is typically a feminine sign, but Cancer men are not effeminate necessarily, right? Master Chief is actually a Cancer. Captain America is actually a Cancer. So there's this level of like, I call it like heart warriors, where lovers become warriors because they need to defend what they love. So if you didn't care, you just let whoever take over anything. Yeah, take my wife. Who cares? Right? But if you love something, then you'll fight for it. You'll defend it. You'll do like what is needed in order to protect what you care about. July 6th for me, 1985. Oh yeah. Yeah, baby. I love that. 1985, baby. Yay, represent. We were born in I mean, I might be biased, but I do feel like the 80s babies, especially that mid 80s point, we are living in the dreams of the future that the 80s created, right? That's why there's such like, we think of retro future wave, even when I'm making a movie called Escape from District 6, which is the Dragon Warriors Escape from District 6. It's the second book, which is really a screenplay, which is a musical featuring like 80s stuff. So if you're musicians, I'd love to create some original music with you for it. I'm making a musical. That way I don't have to pay for licensing, although some groups like Gunship, a lot of the synthwave 80s groups are usually quite nice when it comes to licensing, right? I usually have the most issues with like 90s pop tracks, trying to get licenses for that, even though I really want to use some in the music. But anyways, that was what I wanted to talk to you guys about, was the opposition here. you may have a different opposition. If you're a Taurus and you're born in 1985, or you're born between 85 or 84 and 93, you will have this opposition. So oppositions for anyone is when you have two planets in the signs opposing each other. So whatever sign you are has an opposing sign, which, so for Taurus, it's Scorpio. For Aquarius, it's Leo. For Aries, it's Libra. And for Gemini, it's Sagittarius. So there's these opposing signs which mirror the sign, but are also quite different. So, for example, Taurus deals with like personal value and finances on a personal scale, your body, um, sensuousness, like food, eating, that's all locked into Taurus symbology. And Scorpio is more like other people's finances, what goes on underneath the surface. So out of body experiences, things that are more occult in nature, but also realizing because they are opposing to each other, that doesn't make them not alike. I don't know if that makes sense, but they're related because of the fact that they oppose. Now, what this means in an individual person, in an individual level, is that it's like aspects of your own personality will oppose each other. Now, Pluto in all of our charts represents really, really heavy things like death, change, uh, the occult, the hidden, as I said, like this idea of like hidden affairs or secret motivations are all in that realm of Scorpio. So it's one of those things where it's power, it's sex, it's like this deep underlying like heartbeat of everything. Not heartbeat, but more about the blood itself, right? This idea that like you don't know that you're bleeding until you like cause yourself pain to bleed. Like there's like Scorpio deals with all of that kind of like, it's why Halloween season's and Scorpio season. And so that idea of it opposing Taurus is that Taurus likes to operate in the front. I had a friend of mine who she really doesn't like Scorpio. She thinks that they have their own moral compass. I would say if Scorpio were a D&D character, they would be like Rastlin in like Dragonlance, this like neutral mage where you could go evil or you could go good. It's really kind of up to you, and you will justify it whichever path you take. However, evil is really sometimes a matter of perspective, right? All right, guys. So I'm gonna go into a chart reading of the everlasting now, and then we're gonna do a card reading. And as we do that, hopefully you guys can learn a little bit more about my lens on. I didn't really even explain anything. Actually, let me talk about NLP very briefly, and then we'll go into the chart of the now, and then we'll end it there. Okay, so the way I look at astrology is this: you have like astrology, which we just talked about, which is like an ancient practice of observation of the sky. But I also did a certificate in neurolinguistic programming. So I'm going to talk about that in a second. This should not be confused with natural language processing, which is like computer stuff where you're trying to teach the computer how to like speak in a natural way. This is more, this comes from a therapeutic background. However, it has some kind of sketchy backgrounds as well in like hypnosis. Like it's really kind of scary how easily hypnotized and brainwashed us as human beings can be, right? I don't mean to say that we're computers, right? I mean, it's just that our emotions, like just like how like when I watched Pokemon, the first movie, and Pikachu and like all this stuff, I started to cry. Like, why does that happen? Right? It's not because of the movie. I am crying because I have felt empathy for those characters and now I'm crying, right? So we can program ourselves, right? When you, for example, if you're think right now, you guys, of the happiest moment of your life. Just like pick randomly. It can change sometimes, but just think about it. Think about where you were, what you were wearing, what the sky felt like, what the day felt like, who was there, all of that. So just remember what it was like to be there, right? So I'm reminded of, because I'm writing my book, which takes place in 1999, graduating from grade 8 that summer. I just remember being in the car with my friends with, like, you know, the windows pulled down and singing at the top of our lungs the Spice Girls kind of thing. So like, and so whenever I feel that, I remember my friends and like how close I felt to all of them, and I can just feel them again now, right? So NLP is this prospect of the words that you say matter, the ones that you say to yourself. And it's not just words, right? Because what are words other than just symbols, right? They're just little mini symbols pushed together to make a bigger symbol that's more complex. And how beautifully designed are we as human beings to be able to catch all of those symbols in such tight things, right? So like this glyph of Jupiter, right, also represents a whole bunch of other stuff, like the crescent moon rising up above the horizon, right? But if you don't know that symbol, that doesn't take away the meaning from it, right? So I look at it from a matter of interpretation. The more stories that you have in your consciousness, the more able you are to pick out the other meanings when it comes to different stories. I'll give you an example. Hold on, let me just close the door. Wolfie came in, and so he barged in. You know what it is. I'm in a different place now, but if you guys remember my old setup, you guys could also always hear Wolfie when he barged into the door and like made a whole bunch of noise. It's like, is your dog breaking into your house? Maybe. Okay. I was gonna play music to drown out the sounds of the city, but alas, I won't. Okay, so NLP. NLP. Let me give you guys an actual definition. I don't want to speak incorrectly. Neuro. And so I first found out about neurolinguistic programming because I had a book called The Structure of Magic. And in that book, they talked about how when you tell a story to someone, right, or even how you construct sentences, the syntax matters, right? So whether or not, like how you're front loading it, how you're describing the different characters, all these things tap into more subconscious levels of us understanding the world. And so if you're a very skilled storyteller, you're going to be able to program other people very easily. And also with comic books, what a beautiful medium, right? Because you have the ability to not just have the words, you have full images of what you mean. And so uh, neurolinguistic programming didn't really talk about comic books. It was more about like verbalization, right? Or even like internal verbalization to yourself. Like just be aware of your self-talk, right? That the word, like I used to have a saying when I was a personal trainer that your body hears everything that your mind says. So, when you're in the gym, telling yourself like, this is lightweight, baby. I got this. This is like easy. Like, it helps me get through the workout. That and a great playlist, of course. Okay, I'm just gonna do the basics. The basics of NLP. It's mainly about communication, but I want to just speak properly about it just because it does have creators and stuff like that. So neurolinguistic programming is an approach that focuses on how you can communicate with yourself and with others and how this affects both your behaviors and behavior outcomes. Richard Bandler and John Grinder developed NLP in the 1970s after observing that one of the main differences between what they called successful people and others was the way that they used language to encourage themselves and everyone else. NLP is a model that helps you influence thoughts. So it's a model, remember, and never to get the model confused with like the reality of things. And not all models are going to resonate with you. That's what I want to give it. Like just because, like for example, human design does not resonate with me at all, even though it's related to astrology, and I can see a lot of people getting a lot of benefit from it. It just doesn't. So that's fine, right? But I'm not going to dissuade anyone who finds benefit from looking into that as well. Like same thing with the gene keys. I find a lot of insight from it, but a lot of people, like my husband's just like, I don't really get it. This doesn't even use amino acids properly. I'm like, it's symbolic. But if it doesn't resonate, it doesn't resonate. And so that's just like your favorite comic book stories, your favorite characters. Like follow your heart. Sounds so cheesy, but like your intuition. So let's see here. I just want to have a bit more of yeah. Brandler and Grinder eventually published a series of NLP communication manuals called The Structure of Magic, which gained massive popularity. So let's see here. I wish that they actually, oh yes, it's a therapeutic tool that can actually help with mental health conditions like phobias, fears, anxiety, and depression. It does have in common with astrology where it gets called a pseudoscience because there's no way to prove it. But, you know, I find it interesting, right? Because when I took psychology in university, um, I was a volunteer at this clinic called Clinic with a K downtown Toronto. So I worked on like teams for SA victims when they needed a female chaperone or someone to talk to. And I just found it very difficult to work in those sections or in those sessions without getting my heart involved and having like taking home the stories with me and feeling like I need to do more to save them. But in the end, we can only do like, especially if you're working at a place like when I was working at the hospital, you're working in a place where you have a certain confine behind what you're able to do. And so a big learning for me was even while learning astrology, I learned a lot of stuff about myself. One of them being that I have a hard time with authority. Like I listen to authority, but I have a hard time following rules that they don't make sense, right? Just because someone tells me to do something like, because I said so, I can't. And actually, I'll push back and be like, no, don't really. I'm not going to do it at all. So I have learned also to tone down my arrogance when it comes to things. Like, let's say you find out a certain thing. I don't know, like you learn something new and you think it's profound. And there's this level of arrogance as you go around trying to tell people about it because not everyone's going to find it as profound as you do. You can share it, but I feel like sometimes we have this arrogance of like, oh, because it's profound to me, then it must be profound, like generally. And to take a step back and realize that some messages from the universe are truly just for you to have and not necessarily to be shared yet. And like when to know when to synthesize it a little bit more before sharing. Okay, so NLP is this idea of being able to program yourself. What does this have to do with astrology? Well, to me, this has to do with where did I put my eraser? No, there it is. I see it. Okay, so it's about telling your own story, right? And astrology uh, is all about this idea that there's cycles of the universe and cycles of time and realizing your own place in that storyline, right? So I like to look at the chart as kind of like the hero's journey, right? If we take this from even like the Star Wars story where um, the hero starts out call to adventure, right? And then you get some magical item, and then you go into the underworld, and then you get lessons, right? Like, Luke, I am your father. Oh no, my dad is part of the dark side. And then you have acceptance of yourself, right? Get the lesson, final battle, and then the threshold to come home as a changed person and a hero, right? And then it begins again. So I look at that as but I look at that as like each of you, we have our own hero's arcs that we're in right now. Where you are in your story, in the grander story, is for you to figure out. Also, the universe is counting on you in this grand opera of the cosmos and life for you to play the character of you to the best of your ability. And only you are going to be able to make that character everything that it needs to be. Because think about it, even if you were to have a talent like dancing or being a musician or playing an instrument or writing or any of those things, you still need to practice it, right? Like talent is wasted if you don't have practice or discipline around that to be able to hone your skills. Part of this is also recognizing what you are meant to do here. And that can be very confusing because, especially in a world where you have so many choices, like, well, if I'm doing this one thing, then it means that I'm not doing this other thing. But certain things actually, I ordered Alan Moore stories yesterday. Did you really, Macronus? That's so crazy. I have, where did I put it? I have it, I'm doing an analysis for, I read Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow yesterday, because Supergirl makes an appearance in it from like a different timeline, right? And she doesn't know that she's dead in that timeline because it happens after Crisis. And also coinciding the fact, hey, Pokey, welcome to the live. We're talking Astro stuff. I'm going to do a card reading very, very shortly, an oracle card reading, because the chakras and the dragons of that world are actually related to my book, which I'm releasing finally on Friday. And also, actually, this is an invitation out to any of you guys. If you are interested in playing D&D, we have, I play D&D on Thursdays from like 6 p.m. Eastern to 9 p.m. Eastern. I've been waiting to stream those sessions. We're on Discord, but if you want to join those sessions, we're trying to find a new player. We're playing in Forgotten Realms, not in Faerun, like what Baldur's Gate is. We're in Statsclav, which is like this like prison cave thing. So you need to play as a character who has like light vision. So I'm playing as a moon elf named Mayari. Valzo, D&D is Dungeons and Dragons. It's a game which I relate D&D to astrology, right? So like, for example, Taurus would probably be, let's see here, in D&D, maybe a heavy, because we were talking about how in our group you need to have like a good roundabout characters, right? So like I'm an elf, moon elf, and we have another elf, and then we have another elf who's like a wizard. And so one of the guys was like, we're kind of really squishy. We kind of need a paladin or a cleric, someone who can heal. Of course not. Everyone needs a Gemini on the team, right? So you know what? That's a great, because we're bringing this back to basics right now when it comes to astrology. I'm going to go over some stuff that like I have on like my older videos on YouTube, but because like I'm going to be doing this Astro Salon every Monday from 11:11 to 12:12. But since I started late, we're going to go a little bit later today. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to be doing something called, I call it the Bohemian Revolution podcast. So one day of the week, I'll have a guest, and the other day, I'm going to be doing a monologue just about the themes of truth, beauty, freedom, and love, and, you know, bringing back artistic expression in this timeline, right? That kind of good stuff. And just finding a way to like have us, it's 9 a.m. Sag. Oh, it's 9 a.m. Oh, in your time zone, Pokey. Yeah. Time zones are so crazy to me. What a crazy thing. Did you guys know? She's nice. Oh, thanks, Matt. I have this hair is all mine. You know, I spend so much time trying to make my hair bleach blonde, right? Like platinum blonde. And then I just realized, I'm like, you know what? I could just wear wigs and then save my poor body, like my poor hair's body, right? So this is all me. I love it. And you know, your hair is such a, oh, there's a whole beauty to it when I'm able to dance with my hair, right? And have it as extension. I could play as a paladin or a cleric in your D&D. Oh, Voice of One, definitely. I'll send you an invite. I feel like I can also have people in that group join the Dragon Warriors, like homebrew. It's basically me a homebrew game, but I'm gonna have it match D&D rules somewhat. But we're not going to have, I want white hair when I'm old. I love the white hair look though. I had grayish white blonde hair for a while when I used to work at the hospital. And I remember We used to work with this doctor who was an endocrinologist, and he always teased me, being like, Rachel, this mean I'm like hip and trendy now? Look at my gray hair. I'm like, he was a fox though. He was like a really hot, like older doctor man. Like he could be on like Grey's Anatomy or something. Okay, what was I even talking about here? Oh yes, I wanted to go back to basics when it came to Astro. So there's things in Astro, there's elements and modalities, and knowing your element and your modality can give you some insight to your character profile in this game of life. That's why I call it this game of life. Like if we map reality to D&D, and all of us are playing out a character sheet that's based on the astrology that we were born with, you have certain spells or certain magical items, certain missions that are meant for you, and ones that perhaps are a little bit more challenging or maybe not meant for you at all, right? So these ways of like knowing thine, like know thyself, and then to thine self be true. Hope I got that right, Shakespeare. Um, we're going to do some astro basics. So you have the elements: earth, fire, wind, water, heart. So you have the elements in Astro. So let's see, who's an earth element? We have Taurus, of course, my little Taurus friends. We are earth signs. The other earth signs are, I can never draw Virgo. You're so difficult, Virgo. It's like an M with like a tail on the top, like this. Virgo and Capricorn is the last one. Capricorn also looks a little, it's like an N, like that. So earth signs are Tauruses, Virgos, and Capricorns. So yeah, so we're all earth signs, and you'll find that if you share an element with your friends, that you will get along. Like my besties growing up, I had 2 Virgo friends. Also, when I was a project manager at one of my agencies, half of us were Taurus and half of us were Virgos. I'm like, oh, it's because we're all really like psycho when it comes to scheduling. And you know what? I will say this about earth signs, Capricorn is included in this as well, is that really, really like down to earth, dependable, really like hardworking, will push and push and push to get things done. I have a triangle in my hand, a top line that doesn't end. I guess I live forever. I think that's a choice for sure. My schedule is very chaotic. I'm chaotic good. What can I say? You'll get there eventually. Okay, my fire signs, baby. We have, of course, Aries, cardinal fire. We've got Leo, which is fixed fire. Leo always looks kind of like a sperm, kind of. Here, double check. Yeah, you have like a little head, and then like a, and then we have Sagittarius, which is mutable fire. So I'm Capricorn. My best friend is Aries. We've been up and down for years. I feel like Cappies and Aries, they're both cardinal signs, right? And so I feel like there might be some push and pull with like what direction to go. And also you're both got horns. And you're going to stand your ground if you think you're right, right? So I feel like if you know how to fight fair in that relationship, you can really learn from each other, right? My sister's an Aries, and oh my gosh, I'm a Taurus, right? So when she thinks she's right, she like there's no use in arguing. I'll just be like, okay, fine, you're right. I'm gonna revisit this another time when you're less like argumentative. I'll give you an example of Aries people, for example, like my fire sign folk. One thing I love about fire sign people though is that the initiative, right? That I'm just gonna do it myself. I'm just gonna go out there and live my life, and like, who cares if other people are with me? I was trying to get I missed the bubble gum. Because I was flailing about. Oh, thank you so much, user. And all my friends are Pisces. That's funny though, Valsy, because Scorpio, we're gonna get to that too, is water, right? So Scorpio, sometimes people think of Scorpios as being fire because of the ancient ruler of Mars. So I think of Scorpio as being like, yes, water, but that deep, dark water, like way beyond. Also things like volcanoes or like the the water or liquid under the earth kind of thing. Uh, I love Bethany. Oh, yes. So I feel like Pisces, Scorpio, like if you share your element with others, it's like the last airbender, right? Like your elemental house is the same. So you're going to have some affinity there with my daughter is a Scorpio, right? Yes. Scorpios are also like, they're also like the detectives of the zodiac. Like, did you guys know that Batman is actually an Aries? I totally had him as a Scorpio. I bet he has other placements. I bet his moon's in Scorpio, which comes with its own stuff. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So, a story about my Aries sister. So, I grew up, my mom is Filipino and my dad is South African. So, my mom also, like, we grew up in the prairies of Winnipeg. So, she was like always making Filipino food, but like all of my friends are like very like just white. So as a result, I didn't really like she didn't know how to make things like craft dinner. She used to freeze the jello. She used to like mess up all the time when it came to just like stuff that should have been easy. So that being said, things like pea and ham soup, my hubby here had like more, I guess, was well versed in certain types of cuisine, right? Like having tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches, which is like freaking awesome. Or like mashed potatoes, because my mom would always just make us rice all the time, right? So I love like mashed potatoes. I love like grilled cheese sandwiches, dip it in tomato soup. I'm like, oh, it's like white people food to me. But my friends growing up, it was always such a treat for me to have like their moms making food like that. So bringing this back to I was visiting Winnipeg with my sister, and we were cleaning up the basement because I was trying to get some old manuscripts from, because as I said to you guys before, the book that I'm writing is actually a book I already wrote when I was 14. My dad doesn't throw in anything. So when I moved away from Winnipeg to here in Toronto, he like kept all my stuff in all these dirty, dusty boxes in the basement somewhere. So me and my sis spent like about like 8 hours, no, not that long, a few hours in the basement, literally cleaning everything up, all that kind of stuff. You hate grilled cheese, Pokey? I don't you like cheese? Um, I love um I love Scorpios as friends. So my friend, like they're stubborn, but um you can have some really deep psychological conversations with them. I can appreciate that. Yes, and I'm an Aries. Oh, Dean, okay, there we go. See, like Batman actually shares my sister's birthday too as well. And I told her this, and she's like, I hate Batman. I'm like, why do you hate Batman? She likes she's a Superman fan. She thinks that Batman's too dark for her. But I was like, that's why certain stories are couched in that Batman mythos, because he's got that archetype that can like carry them, right? Yeah, yeah. So the story goes this, that I got really sick cleaning out all the dirty, dusty, moldy grossness in the basement. My dad took me to the clinic. I was joking with the doctor there. I'm like, how come I always get sick when I come home to Winnipeg? And he's like, well, it's what we do here. I'm like, great. Hey, Papa Dave, good morning. Thank you for the heart me. Welcome to I'm doing the Astro. We're going back to basics for my Monday show. I'm going to be going on for like another 13 minutes. So I'm probably going to wrap this up so I can do the card read. Oh, you guys, our fan club has grown. And Pokey also shared in the chat, I have a few stickers, custom stickers for all of you guys who are part of my club. I'm calling it the Cosmic Comic Book Club. As well as I've also got some fun more benefits on Discord that I'm actually going to be organizing. And then Pokey, this week, we should probably be able to have our conversation. I will probably be in Winnipeg at some point in time in September for 2 weeks. So we will match that up, as well as I've got like a big party planned for the fall equinox / the eclipse. So both tickets in person and ones you can just join up live, right? Also, fun analysis stuff for those of you guys interested in the more esoteric magical stuff. I'm calling that something else. I have to think of what I want. Like, I'm like, is it like a mystery school? I don't want to be quite so like ominous. I want it to be a bit more practical when it comes to people accessing their own magic powers, right? Like, my example of this is that if you were someone who's like telekinetic, like for example, Jean Grey, she didn't start out telekinetic. She became telekinetic after practicing telepathy with like Charles Xavier and stuff. So, oh, and thanks, James, just James, for the you're awesome. You're awesome too. And that's what I just want to encourage you guys to be aware of your own magic. Be aware of like the woo in your life, right? The intuition, the hunches, the magic where you just second guess yourself and go like, yes, Legion in the Netflix show. Oh, I have to rewatch. I have to rewatch, you guys. So I would love for you guys to actually let me finish this, and then I didn't even finish my story with you guys. I was telling you guys about like white people food, and like I got on a tangent because I was talking about grilled cheese and tomato soup. In Snowpiercer, the show, that's how they bribe the guy, right? They're like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna sell it your friends for grilled cheese and tomato soup." Um, oh, perfect, good, excellent. And also to Pokey, I have to still go back and see what you wrote about Power Rangers and the Grand Cross because uh, let me finish the elements because we'll go into modalities really quickly and then we'll do a card read. Do it that way. Okay. Papa Dave, what is your sign again? I feel like it's a magical one as well if you're still here. Okay, I know that you're an Aquarius. Amityville, just can you remind me what sign you are again? Just I'm trying to see my elemental makeup in the chat. So are my wind signs, well, air signs. Oh, of course you're Taurus. I knew that. In my real life, I don't have a lot of Taurus friends, so I cherish you guys. So my wind, Scorpio, Val, yeah. So my Scorpio friends, oh my goodness. I have a few girlfriends of mine who are Scorpios, and like I can feel them a mile away. Like I can always tell when she's about to call me, and it be this like big dramatic story. Like, oh my God. I feel like that's gonna happen very soon. And then I'll be like, girl, I'm live. I'm sensitive to water. October 24th. Oh, I love it. October baby as well, right? And so remember too in your sign, like you're going to the signs typically straddle months. So for example, I'm April Taurus versus being a May Taurus. And so you can find that like there's a different flavor of sign depending on what other sign you're closest to. Just like how when you are DJing two tracks, when you're going from the new track to the old, or like the old track to the new track, there's still like that remnants of the old track when you're coming to the new song, right? Nothing is, it's not like you stop dead and then you're now the new sign, right? It's not really the way the cosmos works. So also wind and air, what do we got here? We got Gemini. Am I going to draw that right? Yes. Gemini, which kind of looks like an 11. And that's mutable. What else here? We got Aquarius. Oh, yeah. Wait, how do I draw that? Oh, wait, it's the horse. Oh my gosh. Don't look at that. There we go. So with the little waves. So we've got Gemini, Aquarius, and oh my gosh, Libra. How could I forget about Libra, man? Sorry, Libra. So wind/air is Libra as cardinal, Aquarius is fixed, and Gemini as mutable. I'm going to explain what those mean in just a second. And then we got our water signs, being of course like Cancer is cardinal water. Gosh. Right? You have Cancer. And appreciate it. Aquarius is not a water sign. Aquarius is an air sign. It is the water bearer. It is a common confusion between I'll explain the differences between each of the elements in just a second. So the water signs, we also have, so here, Cancer, Scorpio is fixed, right? And Scorpio looks kind of like Virgo, but with like a different tail. Wait. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah. And then what was the last one? Pisces. How could I forget about Pisces? Pisces is just blending into everything else sometimes. Where am I and where is the rest of the world? Okay, and then that's more like this. Kind of looks like two worlds colliding with water. So we've got astro elements, earth, fire, wind slash air, and water. I know we're not seeing me in superhero gear. I will be actually later on today, I'm actually planning on being Psylocke. Well, a version of Psylocke. I'm going to try her with elf ears though. So all the zodiac art Discord ones. Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Pokey. That would be much easier to have this as a takeaway for the after show about the elements. So when it comes to your own chart, like, so think about your superpowers. It's more than likely if you are a fire sign that you might have fire powers, right? So let's explain the differences between the elements first of all. Earth. Now, Earth, let me see if I can draw it. Looks like this. Shoot. Oh no. I got it. I can fix it. I can fix it. Oh gosh. Looks like that. And fire looks like this, an up triangle. Water. So earth and water are considered more feminine signs, or sorry, feminine elements rather. And wind and air goes up with this. Okay. Earth signs have the same things in common with each other. So Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus, this idea of being down to earth, being dependable, stable, the foundation of things. But also what can come with it is this little bit of like immovability, right? So the most flexible earth signs can be is our mutable sign of Virgo. Virgo is the mutable mercurial sign of the earth, right? This part of the earth that is magical, because we are in Virgo season right now, which is like comes with it this back to school element, right? This coming back to discipline, this more service side of Mercury and magic, right? So that is something to consider as we're in Virgo season right now. We're in an earth elemental sign. So all the other earth signs too, like both Capricorn and Taurus, should feel also activated in that more stable learning, finding inner value and wealth perspective. Because remember, we are all the signs, we're all the elements. We're just going to have, let's say, different lenses that activate certain aspects more like pronounced, right? It's going to be a little bit more like deeper red, that kind of situation. So that's earth. Fire, so that is our Aries, our Capricorn, not our Capricorn, sorry, our Sagittarius and our Leo signs. We have in this, it's this in tarot, it's actually the wands. Hey, Dandy Money Man, birthday twin. I know what you are. You're a Taurus baby like me. But we come very close to Aries, right? Because I'm April 24th, which is like 4 days after Taurus season, right? So if you're in the like the cusp area of a sign, it's important to look at other signs that come before it or after it, or what is ingressing coming into it, right? So fire is wands, earth is actually pentacles, right? Because we think of things like value, monetary value. Hard workers are considered more likely if you have a lot of earth element in your chart. Fire comes with it this initiation aspect, right? This energy, this ability to be able to take things on and push forward, right? So Leo being, I love Leos, I love Aries, I love Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is the mutable aspect of fire, which is this more distribution aspect. So if we think about like Gemini being mutable and Gemini and Sagittarius oppose each other, Gemini is the written word and Sagittarius is, let's say, the publishing industry, distribution of the written word. So they're both mutable though, right? Same thing when we think of like Leo, which is like a fixed fire sign, its opposition is actually Aquarius. So Aquarius is also fixed, but they're in different elements, but the same modality. Some things, that's how you can kind of consider or how you figure out aspects in your chart as well. So wind and air, we have Libra, which is cardinal air, and air signs are, oh my goodness, my air signs. Almost too smart for your own good, right? It can be hyper analytical. My hubby's a Libra. I have a few friends who are, a lot of friends who are Geminis, as well as, you know, I do have some Aquarius friends as well. And so I find that with air signs, they have this ability to, air as an element is the highest if we think of closest to another dimension, right? So this idea of being light, and also from a mental capacity state to be able to consider multiple timelines at once. So I feel like with a lot of my air friends or wind friends, it's this concept of like, oh, I already lived that out 5 million different times because I already thought through the 8 million scenarios in my head. So it's already felt like to me, like doing a video game, that I've already lived this out. So there can be this level of like being up here, right, in this mental state constantly and not being aware of like the lower chakras or like the practicality of like, I need to eat and I need to have snuggles maybe too, as well as having my mind stimulated with conversation. But just also like this concept of like love letters versus like making love is a learning, I think, for air signs to come down to earth, where like with earth signs, sometimes we can be too down here and not have that foresight to think ahead, or like, let's say we're going down a path that's not the right path. It's like so much effort to change directions, even when it's not necessarily like a good thing for you to keep going in the same direction, like inertia, the kind of thing. So there's learnings from each of the elements for other elements, and that's how, like in our own daily life, in our own relationships with each other, when bringing this down to water, in my own chart personally, I do not have a lot of water. The only water placements I have are Scorpio. And Scorpio is an odd kind of water sign. Water in all of our charts represents this more psychic ability, this intuition, the emotion behind everything. It is the cups, the idea of the Holy Grail, this idea of being the receiving end of things. And so for Pisces, for Cancer, for Scorpio, they can just be very, very emotional. Scorpio can do a better job of hiding it, right? Because not showing like what all your cards are from an emotional standpoint, but Cancers and Pisces can just be emotional AF. And I have a lot of Cancer friends. I love my Cancer friends. Cancers and Tauruses get along really well. Just I find as friends, just because we care about the same things like food and snacks. Like Sailor Moon is clearly a Cancer, right? Wolfie's a Cancer too, by the way. He was born like June 24th. So it's something for you guys to consider as well, like that everything has an astrology, right? Everything from the places to your dogs or cats or familiars, or like your relationships when they start, when an event happens. Everything has an astrology, and it's all just more like a marker in time space as to like, aha, it's a type of classification or model by which we can kind of tell a story or have a bigger frame of reference for everything, right? I'm a May 24th Gemini. Hey, hey. Oh, wait, but you're also coming close to being something May 24th. No. Yeah, then you're going to go into Gemini. Sorry. You're going to go into Cancer season, right? So the later Geminis that come close to Cancer, I do find that the moon is very emotional and but also very changeable as well. It's why in Sailor Moon, the very first Sailor Scout to be woken up after the moon is Mercury. And it's this idea that the mental state and our emotions and our memory, they're all very much intertwined, right? Very much like friends with each other. Does it make me a carpet? No, it does not. I'm close to Taurus. Okay, sorry. I was thinking with the other way around in my head. So yeah, well, I like that better. Tauruses are emotional, but as it's much more it's less intuitive and more like what you can show me, right? So it's like this idea of big hugs, big Leos are like this as well, like this idea of like, I need to feel like something in this like reality, very tangible of like what love feels like, that kind of thing. Doesn't believe in my cheese. I do believe in your cheese moon universe. Maybe that's why you don't like grilled cheese, because I'm using all of it towards my sandwiches. All right, guys. So that's the elements in astrology. Yeah, me too. Like I'm a big hug person, right? Or just um your heart chakra is the chakra by which all other chakras are open. So if you have like a big, open, wonderful heart and you hug somebody who does have like a closed heart chakra or is going through a tough time in terms of like, closure of your throat chakra because you feel like you can't speak your truth, or like feeling like you can't see a brighter future because your third eye is blocked. Like we can help unlock each other, right? Because we resonate with each other. It's like when you have a tuning fork and another tuning fork. Like I used to harmonize with my friends, like singing. And what I used to have to like work really hard on is like singing your own notes, right? So if I'm singing the alto, with someone singing like second soprano and the soprano, I can't drift into the soprano. I have to stay in alto because otherwise, like you don't have that, like you don't have the harmony if you don't have the different octaves, right? So you don't have harmony unless you have differences. But those differences need to be consolidated in a way that it just happens. And that's, I guess, the magic of it all. And I think astrology does a beautiful job of striving to find meaning behind these things that are like, how does that even work? Like, how does that happen? And I will say this, that like people have different interpretations of different things, right? Like the moon, or like things like Mars. Some people think of it as a malefic planet, but I don't think of it as that. Like the Vedic astrology, if you're talking about more like the Eastern astrology versus Western mythology, or astrology or mythology, they're going to have different meanings behind things. But I do think that's where you, as like the tuning fork of the message, right, the medium of it, that's where the meaning comes into play. And that's where I have comic books provide me literacy to things, right? Because I was always the type of person where I'm like, if I am bored with it, I'm just not going to continue. I'm not that type of person who I'm going to continue to watch a movie where I'm just like, this is bad. I would rather just put on a movie that I've watched 800 times and I love it. And I know that it's going to be like, I know that I will love it. And I can revisit my friends, the characters in that movie again, right? Rather than always give things a chance too, though, right? Things are always, I'm always open to being surprised. I love being surprised. I love being pleasantly surprised. I'm like, I thought this was going to be bad, and this is actually really amazing. And same thing goes with people for me. Like I've always just like looked at like anytime I've met a new person as like an opportunity to like, oh wow, like you're a whole new universe that I can get to know. And I think for each of us, just be aware that like we are not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. How I wouldn't want to be liked by everyone because I don't like everybody. I can be, um, I can love everybody and not necessarily want them to be part of my inner circle, right? And just to be aware that like you can have just like rings in a tree, your concentric circles and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's what I want to leave it with. I'm wanting to do let's do an oracle card read just to get things finish things off, and then I'll catch you guys perhaps later. We may be doing a DJ set, and then I'm gonna see if I can have some elf ears. I have this like SFX makeup kit that I wanted to try out to make my elf ears look a little bit more realistic. So I'm gonna give that a shot a little bit later, and if it does work, like elf Psylocke go live, we shall see. Okay, so for now, we're gonna do our little chakra read. Remember, I love these chakra cards. These are my oracle cards. They're based on different colors of the chakra system, and they come with each of them like a different meditation and different ways that you can activate your body as the bridge between heaven and earth, right? Okay, ooh, I've never pulled this card before. Fun times. Speaking of Scorpio and like mysticism, so that is the card pull for today. Mysticism. What a read. Okay. So purple in this is a third eye chakra. They have the crown chakra. Sometime in my book, Purple is actually the crown chakra. I have indigo blue as the brow. If you guys have seen the Green Lantern stuff, they do kind of have commonalities a little bit with the color theory of the chakras, except they kind of have the heart chakra and the solar plexus thing flipped. Okay, so mysticism, let me find you. Your third eye. So maybe, let's see here, purple eye cards at a glance. Mysticism. A woman named Aubergine. Ooh, Aubergine. Maybe pulled this card years ago. Okay, here we go. This is the chakra card for the read today, you guys. For your week, something to consider. Mysticism. A woman named Aubergine. You are not to know. The legend. A woman named Aubergine calls on the telephone to confirm that she will be with us tonight. Yet no woman named Aubergine was invited. Of the 4 invited, 2 are wed and 2 are unknown. Unknown to each other, a woman and a man. Surely, if this mysterious woman were the guest of the man, she would have made it known, no? A woman approaches, the woman named Aubergine, the woman who will be with us tonight. Inspiration. It is wise to be the observer. Do not respond until you are certain. The unknown is not easy, but it is no longer necessary to fear it. Personal inquiry. Am I ignoring my intuition? What I suspect is probably true. I must breathe. Ignoring signs are the key ideas here. Unknown motivation, intuitive knowing, fear of the unknown, a journey. So this is all about trusting your intuition. So it's like this is a very much water sign domain, as well as the meditation here is see yourself in a crystal clear pool. As you wade in the water, a whirlpool swirls towards you and catches you. Aubergine is afraid you would leave if you weren't captive. Assure her that you will stay if she sets you free. She doesn't believe you. You have met your own fear. Open your eyes. What is real? What is imagined? And what is no longer necessary? Ooh, that's so funny. Okay, so what an interesting story, right? It's kind of like one of those things like, well, who is Aubergine? Who is this lady? Who is the mysterious visitor? That kind of thing. And I think a big learning that I came to when I was learning astrology and like energy readings and like mysticism and like trying to uncover magic, reading Zatanna, reading Alan Moore, all that stuff, is that not everything is meant to be known consciously all the time. It's about the timing by which the knowledge comes through at the moment that, let's say, something in the external environment is also making itself known. And just the synchronization of all that is the key to it. And as we are in the process of, like, let's say you're reading a book and you don't know who done it yet, right? A murder mystery, or you don't know like what the twist is, you don't know like what's going to go on yet, but you could flip ahead, right? And just like read the end. But what is the fun in that, right? So we have to be okay with the not knowing, the mystery, the what could it be, and let yourself take those thought experiments, come up with like solutions or ideas that have never been thought of before. And that would be, I think, something a little amazing. Oh, amazing. James, just James. That's a great fun fact. You can make great vegetarian lasagna with aubergines, eggplant, without traditional pasta. I guess that's why she's named Aubergine. She's dressed kind of like an eggplant, right? Eggplant purple. My mom used to make eggplants really like bland. There's too like you should not boil vegetables. You're boiling away all of the nutrients. I'm like, unless you use that boiled water and sauce maybe afterwards to keep all that good nutrient goodness in yourself, right? All right, guys. That was the read. I didn't do a tarot card read today just yet, but catch me for this Neurolinguistic Astrology Salon every Monday. I'm going to be doing it from 11:11 to 12:12. I went a little bit later today just because it was the first time, and I wanted to go over some basics when it came to astrology. So if you want to get a reading from me, I do those on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays. I have my calendar open, but you do have to book with 24 hours in advance just because I need to get some stuff ready when we do the call. I also have a sliding scale, so you can get 10-minute increments for 10 US dollars. So up until an hour of your section time. So, or if you are very confused with the whole booking thing, just send me a message and we can talk. I do think I'm here to let you guys know that the time has come. It's time for you to be exactly who you are and stop playing small. It doesn't do anything to serve the universe. Hey, Karina, who are you? Thanks, girl. I'm just about to sign off, so I'll be back every Monday for this content. TBD if later Mayari, my moon elf, will make an appearance. I think I'm going to try to play Baldur's Gate a little bit later as well with so to call her Fatima, but her name's not Fatima. Her name's Felicia. I named her after Black Cat. So so I wish all of you guys good fortune in your quests today, this week. Just be aware that to trust your intuition, right? Like, do not ignore the signs from the cosmos, and to remember to trust yourself, right? I do so many things. That's why my schedule is all over the place. And I mean, as I said, chaotic good, but I'm getting a little better with my organization skills. That's it. Because like creativity is one thing, but then there's like a whole other part of like, okay, so I can't draw and write and go live and do my makeup all at the exact same time. How do I make this work, right? So I welcome all of you guys out there, my Renaissance superhero friends. Good fortune in all of your goals this week. I hope you're doing well. My main focus right now is the book. Anyway, I like to be a writer. That's like that's what I've always wanted to be as a kid. I wanted just to be like the next C.S. Lewis, write the next Star Wars. Like that is the main thing. Everything else is kind of like gravy on top of it, right? Because in the chakra system, in the astrology, all of this stuff is all the metaphor, all the symbols that are kind of like an appendix to like, like Dune or these big fantasy novels that have all of this underlying mythos and world building that you never see in the story, but it's there, right? So just sharing you guys stuff that I've learned in my own research, writing what is a fantasy science fiction book that we are living out right now. So I hope you guys are doing well today, this Monday into the new week. This, I think, is the last week of August. So let's all enjoy the summer, forever summer. Scott Summers has just joined in just the right amount of time. I'm just going to be signing off, you guys. So I will have the replay available. I'm just organizing some things just so that because I talked a little bit about the elements, and if you want to get more information about that, as well as aspects and how you can look at your own chart to get more power and understanding of the character you're meant to play here in life, just get at me. Hey, Aubrey. Okay, guys, remember, it takes true courage for you to be exactly you in the cosmic game of life. So remember to play as exactly you because the universe is counting on you. But no worries. I have your back. Until next time, friends. Bye. Thanks, Amiva. And until next time, you guys, stay super.